love is very like a poultice, A poultice is this thing you put on a boil or something that's deep under the skin, then the poultice draws it to the surface. That's my experience of love. So if somebody loves you, well, that's the time to batten down the hatches, because it's all going to come up. All your unconsciousness, all your pain, you're going to find yourself behaving terribly. Hello friend, John Dalton here, Further Emergence Podcast, where we go into love, consciousness, and the mystery. And in this episode, we're going into self-criticism, feeling safe in partnership, complexity and healing, standing in the truth of love, and quibbles. This person says, "Hello, John. Living out here in the forest, I spend a lot of time alone with my thoughts. Sometimes the voice inside is too hard on me, always criticizing and never satisfied. How do you deal with that kind of self-criticism without letting it take over? I want to be honest with myself, but not so tough that I lose my peace." Well, yeah, self-criticism is hard because, as this person says, you don't want to just kind of go, "Oh, everything I do is lovely, and all criticism is bad," because you're in the process of becoming more conscious, and you're in the process of turning your own consciousness into consciousness. So that requires you to kind of be discerning and to look at everything. But we are very predisposed to giving ourselves a really hard time, to really beating ourselves up. It's one of the things you really notice in meditation is you start to hear these voices. I've been meditating for, 30 plus years, and I am still shocked by the vitriol I hear myself thinking about myself. I'm shocked at the sort of lack of love in it and the contempt, and I like myself. I like myself quite a lot, and yet it's still there. So it's a delicate balance. It's almost reminds me of the way we talk about shadow work and being willing to look into your shadow to really be able to hear how despicable you think you are, or the different voices on the inside are about you. It requires a lot of distance. It requires a lot of not taking it personally, because there's no point in arguing with them because you won't win. They'll just recede back into the darkness and wait until you make a mistake, in inverted commas, mistake again, and then they'll come out with all the vengeance, of like, what did you do that for? What did you say that for? Why did you, do that stupid thing? And then all the vitriol comes out. So it's a delicate balance, but I think you can kind of, if you start off with being as in tune as you can with your own sweet nature, because it's not in our nature, it's not in my nature, and I'm sure it's not in yours either, to be cruel, to be unkind. But we sort of save up the most cruelty and the most unkindness for ourselves. So it can be a little bit like, if you sort of get very upset with something, like get angry with an animal, and maybe you might shout at it, or you might do something, and almost immediately you feel bad. It's kind of the same. It's trying to be able to feel that feeling of there's something off. I can hear this very harsh voice criticizing me on the inside, but underneath it doesn't feel right. So let me get a little bit of distance so that I can hear it. I can hear that part, and it has to have its say, because you're trying to get it to come out of the dark, and the only way it comes out of the dark is through communication. And unfortunately, the beginning communication is always awful. It's always the worst. And it's very hard to hear. But it's the way to get it out. So there's no simple answer to it. There's no like, oh, here, all you have to do is. But it's very possible and it's very important. So you have to sort of tread lightly with it, listen, try and not get you hurt by it. Definitely don't believe it, because these are parts that have been telling us this for years, since we were little children. And they don't really know what they're talking about. They think they do, but they don't really. So you have to let them come out so that they can tell you their sad story, they can tell you how awful you are, and you can listen to it, because it's not you. Because if you're listening to it, well, you know it's not you. So it's a delicate balance. It requires a lot of kindness, a lot of compassion, but it's very worthwhile. You really do have to do it. This person says, hey there, I've been doing a lot of inner work and really learning to take care of myself. But sometimes I wonder, will I ever find someone who truly holds my safety as dearly as I do? I don't mean just physically, but emotionally, energetically, the whole thing. Someone who can meet me in that deep place and help carry the weight when the world gets heavy. I'm not desperate, just genuinely curious if that kind of partnership exists for me. Thanks for holding space for my question. Wishing you warmth and wonder. Short answer, I don't know. But long answer, the mystery can do that for you. And if you focus on getting everything that you would like from a partner from the mystery, then amazing things can happen. I mean, generally, as a general thing for existence, and I am not the first person to say this, even though I feel like I invented it, but I mean, that's just because when you discover something for yourself, then it's yours. So, as a general rule, I find that anything that you look for outside yourself is going to cause you pain. So you've asked about a partner and safety. So if you are looking outside yourself to feel safe, you're looking outside yourself for somebody to hold that safety, then you are forever going to be at the mercy of that person. You could meet the most wonderful person who can hold your safety amazingly. They're just brilliant. They can do the whole thing. Yet, what happens if they die, or get sick, or meet somebody else, or get tired of holding your safety? Then you're going to have to find somebody else. So that's on a practical level. But I have a feeling that what is going on generally in terms of consciousness in existence at the moment is we are all being encouraged by the mystery to find it all inside. So you could think of it like, let's just say, I mean, isn't this amazing? I'm in this beautiful nature, I'm on this beautiful beach, beautiful mountains, everything. It's fantastic. It feels really three-dimensional. It feels really deep, and look at the ocean just going out to the horizon there. It's amazing, right? Well, let's say it's not real. Let's say I'm wearing a virtual reality headset and it just looks like this. It's just the most amazing thing ever. And let's say I have a stomach ache, right? And I put this thing on, and then I get caught up in it, this headset on, and I get caught up in this very believable reality, and I'm running around inside this imaginary space trying to resolve my stomach ache. Now, you and I know that nothing in the headset is going to sort it out for me. I need to take the headset off and go and address my stomach ache, whatever that is. I need to lie down. I need to take something, some chamomile tea or whatever, whatever people do for stomach aches. And then I can come back and put the headset on and it'll be fine. But if I am running around inside the little virtual reality in the headset trying to sort out my stomach ache, I'm never going to do that. That's never going to happen. And that is kind of the way it is with us and all the things that we want. So, I'm going to contradict myself, or I'm going to seem to contradict myself. It's not really. Because in my experience, when you kind of go, oh, okay, it's all inside me. Let me relate to the outside as if there's nothing outside me, and let me address all my unhappiness, heartbreak, you name it. It all happens inside me anyway, just like love and joy and that all happens inside me too. So it's all going on in here, inside my system. Okay, what I think of and call my system, meaning mind, body, spirit, the whole thing, right? Because if you just say it's all going on in my mind, that's too limited. We're much bigger than that. So let me focus in here. Let me find the source of love within me. Let me find the source of safety within me. Let me find the source of everything, okay? Because if you did meet somebody who held your safety the way you described, right? You wouldn't feel it in their body. You'd feel it in their presence, but their presence would trigger you to feel it inside you. You wouldn't feel it in them. So it's in you already. Everything we look for outside us is in us already. And it's really easy to see that, because you just kind of go, whatever it is, oh, I'd love a Rolls Royce, right? You can kind of go, okay, how would I feel if I had that Rolls Royce? I'm driving down the road in my beautiful Rolls Royce. How would I feel? Would I feel it in the Rolls Royce? No, I'd feel it inside me. So it means that feeling is in me already. I can have the feeling of driving a Rolls Royce down the road, regardless of whether I've got a Rolls Royce or not. I can have the feeling of safety that I think would happen inside me if there was somebody who was holding my safety in the way that I would like to have it held. I can have that right now. So let me look for that. Let me make that the focus of my inquiry, not looking outside me for the ideal partner, person who can hold stuff for me. And here's where it might seem a little bit contradictory, because when you do that, you are really getting in tune with the mystery. You're really, you and the mystery are together. Amazingly, someone might appear who can hold your safety for you or not, but when you stop looking outside yourself, the mystery kind of goes, oh, okay, now let me bring some people to you. Let me bring some experiences to you to help that. Sometimes they're fantastically joyous experiences and wonderful, and they're the very thing that you've asked about. You meet somebody who can hold your space and hold your safety and all that. Other times, it's different things to help you deepen that, to help you deepen this knowledge of it's all outside, it's all inside me. So let me stop looking on the outside. So, as I say, is it possible? I don't know. I think anything is possible, but it's not like I kind of go, oh yeah, that kind of relationship, that's definitely possible. Anything is possible, of course, but is it going to happen for you? I don't know. But I know what can happen for you is you can find the source of all of that inside you, and what you're doing then is you're accessing the mystery inside you, and that activates the mystery outside you as well. And then amazing things can happen. This person says, "Salute, John. I've just finished reading your book, Why Do We Get Sick? And I found it both thought-provoking and strangely comforting. That said, my experience feels layered. I have a whole mix of physical symptoms, some that come and go, and emotionally, well, let's just say it's not exactly a a quiet landscape either. I'm not sure if your approach fits someone like me with so many threads tangled tangled together. What do you think? Not totally sure what they mean. I think they're asking about the origin, the root of symptoms, and how probably the simplest way to think of it is symptoms are a bit like leaves on the tree. And all the time you want to be looking at for what's the root. Because if you focus on the symptoms, whether they're physical or to do with your mental health, without at least aiming for the root, then you'll just be, it's a bit like whack-a-mole, you know, you'll sort one thing out and it'll pop up somewhere else. You'll sort that thing out and it'll pop up somewhere else. That happens just very mechanically. If you, like if you have eczema, for example, and you put on some sort of steroid cream, the eczema disappears, but you start getting respiratory problems like asthma or something like that. And that's because you've just forced the eczema onto your inside skin, your lungs, and it's just expressing itself there. That's a very simple kind of example, you know. So it's very easy to get distracted with symptoms. And I see this a lot in my one-to-one work, where somebody has an array of symptoms and they're kind of going from specialist to specialist to specialist, and they get one thing sorted out and then they have to go to the next thing, and then they get that sorted out and then they have to go to the next thing, and then they get that sorted out and then they have to go to the next thing, and so on, and then they're back to the first thing again. And it's just this continual cycle, and then there's a certain amount of medication involved, and that just confuses everything, and the whole thing becomes very hard to see through to the root. Whereas if your focus is, what is the root? Let me look at all the leaves, all the symptoms, and let me come down into the root. What is the root underneath everything? Because if you can get to that, and that's what my focus is when I work with people, that's the question I'm wondering, is what's the root? What's underneath? What's the deep thing that's holding all this in place? And in my experience, when you can, you may not get it exactly, but if that's the focus of your inquiry, you'll get a lot closer than if you're just going from symptom to symptom. If you're kind of going, what's behind everything? And the deeper you can go into that, and the more of a sense of like what is the root cause of all this, when you get to it or when you get close to it, amazing things happen. All the symptoms just start to get less for no reason. Nothing else has changed, just the focus is on what is the root cause of everything here. So yes, my approach, which is what I talk about in the Why Do We Get Sick, Why Do We Get Better book, I talk about that, getting down to the fundamental question of your whole life, why you're having a life in the first place. What is it that you're trying to sort out in your life? Or what is it that you're trying to discover about yourself in your life? That can be at the root of everything. And if you're out of alignment with that, all sorts of things can happen. So yes, here I am. I arrived at it. Yes, my approach does work for you. It doesn't matter how complicated your symptom spectrum is, how much spectrum of symptoms you have is. Yeah, you can get down to if you get to the root, amazing things can happen. Just jumping into this episode to tell you about Patreon. If you're enjoying these episodes, if you're getting something from them and you'd like to help out, the idea is like, if you met me in person, would you like to have a cup of tea with me? Well, you can, at least the tea part at least, because for roughly around the price of a cup of tea, depending on where you are in the world, you can help. You can help with these podcasts on Patreon. So I'd really appreciate it if you did. And thank you if you're already supporting me on Patreon. And if you want to, it's just Patreon/John Dalton Podcasts. And it would mean a lot to me. Thanks very much. This person says, hey there, I've been with someone for about a year now, and honestly, they're one of the kindest, most grounded people I've ever met. It should feel simple, but instead, I'm finding myself more anxious as time goes on. It's like the more they show up with steady love, the more unsettled I feel inside. How do I stand in the truth of love without letting that inner panic run the show? Appreciate you taking the time. Well, I think you're halfway there. I mean, most people don't notice that. They just blow up their relationship, you know. I mean, it's very similar to manifesting money. You know, we all think, oh, I want to, whatever. Let's say you're used to earning, or you're used to having $1,000 dollars or whatever, and everybody kind of goes, oh, I want $1 million. $1 million is a lot to hold if you're not used to it. And, you know, the cliche of people who win the lottery and then within a year or two they're back to where they were. That's a good example of it. It's kind of the same with love. We all know about love instinctively because we're made of it. We all know about what it means to be loved because we love. That's very different to actually having it happen. Because we have the terrible things that happen to us in our childhood, and then we have our questions that we're figuring out in our lives, and maybe we're just used to not so great love or not so great relationships. We're used to punishment, we're used to cruelty, we're used to being distanced, we're used to being ignored, we're used to being abused, we're used to all the things. And then we find someone, the mystery brings someone to us, and they just love us. And we think, well, that's great, happily ever after, the credits roll, they live out. You know, it's actually not like that. Because the Hollywood idea of love, it is that and that's it. Once you find love, it's just plain sailing from there on. And in my experience, that is not the case. Love is very like a poultice, you know. A poultice is this thing you put on a boil or something that's deep under the skin, and the poultice draws it to the surface. That's my experience of love. So if somebody loves you, well, that's the time to batten down the hatches, because it's all going to come up. All your unconsciousness, all your pain, you're going to find yourself behaving terribly. And you're going to find yourself saying outrageously cruel things to this person that loves you, right? And if you don't know what's going on, you can just bounce out of it. You can just bounce out of the relationship because it's too much. It's too like, what is going on? This is too much. And you'll go back to being with somebody who treats you terribly because it's familiar. It's sad, but that can happen. So you won't even know probably that you're being loved. It will just feel like, what is going on? It's like, whoa, everything feels so weird. I think it's good, but why am I so anxious? Why is this person making me feel so uncomfortable? It's not the person, it's the love. Love is drawing it up. It's a field, that you share with this person, and it's the field that's bringing it up. So it is very difficult to stand in the face of love, or the truth of love, as this person says. That's not an easy thing. You'd think it'd be lovely, wouldn't it? I think it'd be like something you'd see in Lord of the Rings, or this beautiful golden light or something, and everything would be great. In reality, my experience, that's not the case. It's very difficult. As you stay in it, it gets better. And as you stay focused inside you, if you keep looking outside you at the other person going, what are they doing to me? yeah, that's not going to go well. But if you can kind of go, yeah, there's something happening here, there's something profound happening here inside me because of this field of love. So let me just try and hang on the inside to what I know of love, to what my experience of love is, and let this love do its thing. Let this love, help transform all this unconsciousness in me so that it's not so disruptive, and that it let me help in the process of it healing me. Then it's easier because, then you're not as likely to sabotage the whole thing and ricochet back to what is familiar. Then you're likely to be transformed by the love. And that's a beautiful thing. Well, hello there, John. I was after reading your article about Quibbles, which gave me a wee chuckle. It's a cute idea, no doubt about it. But I have to ask, are you really saying we can treat every problem like it's just a quibble? Surely some things in life are no small matter. Some things knock the wind out of you. Or have I got the wrong end of the stick altogether? Right, I'll leave you with that. Mind yourself. So this person is talking about an article I wrote, or a bit of writing I did, called The Trouble with Quibbles, which you can find on my website. And in it I was talking about how the idea of quibbles, I got it from Neville Goddard, who got it from his teacher Abdullah. And the idea of quibbles is that instead of talking about, oh, I've got big problems, I've got a big fear, or I've got a big fear about having everything stolen from me, or I've got a big fear about eating meat, or I've got a big concern about whatever, to think of everything in terms of quibbles. And quibble being like an indication of a little wrinkle that you have, like a belief, a deeply held belief about something. The story that really registered it for me was Neville was talking about being with his teacher Abdullah for dinner, and Abdullah is sitting there. Neville was a vegetarian, and this is back in the 40s when being a vegetarian was unusual. So Neville is, eating his carrots and peas and whatever, and Abdullah is tucking into a big steak, and he's washing it down with whiskey. And this is not the first time this has happened. Eventually, Neville kind of goes, how can you do that? How can you, that's so unhealthy. And Abdullah goes, well, I can do it because I don't have any quibbles about it. But you couldn't do it because you have a quibble about it. You've got a quibble about eating steak and drinking whiskey. So if you did it, it would make you sick. So that's the kind of idea of quibbles. And I really like it because it takes the big scary thing, the big fear. I've got a fear of flying. I've got a fear of terrorism. I've got a fear, the big things, not the small things. Right down to, oh, I have a thing about parking. I can never find a parking spot. Or, I've got a thing about the government, All of those things, if you think of them as quibbles, a quibble is like just a ridiculously small thing. If you think of everything like being a quibble, then you can, it's much easier to shift it. It's very hard to take it seriously. It's a bit like that thing in the Harry Potter movie, a boggle, I think it's called. This scary thing that comes out of the wardrobe. And how you get rid of it is you see it as a ridiculous, you think of something ridiculous and it transforms into that ridiculous thing. When you don't do that, your worst fear, it turns into your worst fear. That's a terrible description of boggles. Boggles and quibbles. This is, yeah, you're getting it all here in this episode. So, yes, is my answer to this person's question. You can, and I would encourage you to, reduce everything to a quibble. Don't let anything be a big thing. And I've done this myself with big, scary things that I was really concerned about, not small things, but I kind of related to them like, yeah, I've got a bit of a quibble about that. Now let me work on that. Let me not take it seriously. Let me not think, oh, this is a big serious thing now. I have to have big serious thoughts about it. No, let me just think of this as a quibble. A quibble is something I can change. So let me change it. And amazingly, as soon as I change it, the outside thing changes and I don't have a quibble anymore. And you know this in your own experience. You know, you might know somebody who has a quibble about people being late for them, is a good example. Everybody's always late for that person. You're late for that person, even though you're never late for anybody. But because they have this strong thing about this is all, people are always late, then everybody's always late. And you know, you mightn't have that, so it's easy to see. But the dynamic is the same. If you have a quibble about something, it's possible to change it, and then once you change it, it doesn't show up anymore. All right, well, that's all I have for you this time. I trust you're well, I trust you're of good cheer, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.